5 grand. That's it. That's all the cash you've got in your pocket. And yet, you're dreaming of shredding tires, making smoke, and sliding sideways like a pro. Sounds absolutely wild, right? Like something only Hollywood movie stars or trust fund kids can pull off? Well, hold on to your seats, because today, I'm not just telling you it's possible, I'm proving it. I've scoured the planet, dug through forums, and rounded up the 10 absolute best car brands, and more importantly, the exact cheap models within them that will get you sideways without nuking your bank account. We're talking global cars, readily available parts, and enough fun to make your neighbors wonder what that glorious smell of burning rubber is. Ready to dive in? Let's count them down. Alright, kicking off our list with a legend, the Mazda Miata. Mazda built more Miatas than Cheerios in a family pantry. And that absolute ocean of supply is exactly what keeps prices ridiculously sane. We're talking about the early NA and NB generations here. These little roadsters are pure, unadulterated driving joy. An early 1.6 or 1.8 liter rear-wheel drive machine weighs in at under a ton, so you don't need some monstrous V8 to break traction. We're talking maybe 115 horsepower, and you're already sliding. You can snag a perfectly ratty, but mechanically sound example for maybe 3 grand, especially if you're not afraid of a little rust or a faded paint job. Then, weld the differential. Seriously, it's a drift hack that actually works. Add some used coilovers you found online, and boom! You've got a drift cart that rotates faster than gossip at your local cars and coffee meet. Parts? Oh, they're practically free. We're talking brakes shared with a Ford Festiva, engines that are cousins to the Mazda Protege. So, when you inevitably tap a wall or kiss a cone at your first practice day, you're back on track for beer money. It's the ultimate beginner drift car, globally available, easy to maintain, and an absolute riot. Think you need some fancy import credibility to get sideways? Absolutely not. Don't sleep on the good old American muscle. The 1994 to 2004 Mustang GT, specifically the SN95 and New Edge generations, still carries that iconic 4.6-liter V8. Now, here's the secret. It's notoriously lazy on torque down low, which, believe it or not, is perfect for learning. Just stab the throttle at 30 miles per hour, and those rear 25/60 all-season tires will give up on life faster than you can say, yeehaw. Buy-in for these bad boys starts around 5 grand for a decent runner. And let me tell you, there are more bolt-on parts available than items in a Home Depot aisle. You want more power? There's a supercharger kit for that. Better handling, suspension upgrades galore. Sure, the live axle in the back is a bit agricultural compared to independent setups, but that just means predictable slides and cheap replacements when you push it too hard. Plus, there's nothing quite like showing up at a Japanese-dominated drift event in a rumbling, spitting American coupe. You'll be the talk of the track, turning heads and making smoke, proving that drifting isn't just for imports. Okay everyone, and I mean everyone, drools over the Nissan 240SX. But let's be real, those prices have gone lunar. They're practically collector's items now, not budget drift machines. But here's a secret, the heavier, often overlooked Z 32-300ZX hasn't caught the same drift tax fever. This means you can still nab a twin-turbo example for as little as 9 grand if you hunt hard enough. And trust me, the hunt is worth it. The VG30DE TT engine spools up to a healthy 300 horsepower stock. That's plenty to get you sliding. And its long wheelbase, that keeps transitions silky smooth, making it surprisingly forgiving for a car with this much power. Downsides? Well, the engine bay is tighter than skinny jeans after Thanksgiving dinner, so working on it can be a puzzle. But the upside? You'll probably be the only one in your region rocking those iconic pop-up headlights, with that distinctive 90s turbo brapping echoing off the clipping point. It's a unique, powerful, and surprisingly balanced platform if you're willing to put in a little elbow grease. Now, for something a bit more modern but still incredibly budget-friendly, the Toyota GT86 and its Subaru BRZ twin. and the newer GR86. The first-gen GT86 has depreciated under 15 grand, and the used market is absolutely flooded with them. Why? Because people bought them, thought they were too slow, got bored, and moved on to SUVs. Their loss is our gain. The FA20 Flat 4 isn't a powerhouse, no, but with 200 horsepower and a screaming 7 grand redline, you can stay on throttle forever, learning momentum and control. The aftermarket support for these cars is insane. We're talking angle kits, turbo kits, supercharger kits, even swap brackets for a K24 engine if you truly hate torque and want a different kind of power. Stock, it's a pure momentum car. It forces you to learn proper weight transfer and throttle control. Master drifting in one of these, and you'll be a smoother, more precise driver when you eventually step up to those 400 horsepower monsters. The newer GR86 offers more power and refinement, but the original GT86 is where the true budget-friendly fun begins. The internet's drift darling, and for very good reason, the BMW E36. What's not to love? That glorious inline-six soundtrack? Check a cheap, incredibly capable rear-wheel drive chassis? Double check. You can still find a running, driving 90s 3 Series for around 8 grand, especially the sedans. Because, let's be honest, nobody preserves 4 doors like they do coupes, which means more savings for you. The M5X engines, like the M50 and the 325i, or the M52 and the 328i, are legendary for taking boost like a fish takes to water, meaning cheap horsepower upgrades are just a turbo away. And the E36 chassis? It has acres of steering angle once you add some simple rack spacers and a weld-on kit. Maintenance? Yeah, it's German predictable. Cooling system overhauls, control arms, repeat. But parts are globally available, and online forums will walk you through every single nut and bolt. You'll learn a ton, slide even more, and look good doing it. This car is a global icon for budget drifting for a reason. Think of the Infiniti G35 as basically a Nissan 350Z wearing a tux. It's got the same legendary 3.5-liter VQ engine, but you gain usable rear seats and often cheaper insurance, because grandma thinks it's just a fancy luxury car. The G35's slightly longer wheelbase compared to the 350Z means incredible high-speed stability, making it perfect for big, fast tracks like Road Atlanta where you need to hold long, sweeping drifts. Early 2003 to 2004 coupes can dip down to 3 grand with 200,000 miles. And guess what? The VQ engine is internally forged from the factory, meaning it can handle a lot more power than stock with just a few bolt-ons. Just add fresh coil packs, a welded differential, and you're ready to start frying expensive 275 width tires. Plus, there's a massive VIP scene around these cars, so if you ever get tired of tire smoke, which, let's be real, you won't, you can always slam it on some wire wheels and cruise in style. It's a versatile, powerful, and surprisingly affordable platform. Alright, this one's a bit of a wild card, but hear me out. The Mazda RX-8 is like that weird cousin who shows up to the family gathering with Doritos instead of pizza, and then ends up being the absolute life of the party. Its unique 1.3-liter rotary engine revs to an insane 9,000 RPMs, and with 232 horsepower in the 6-speed version, you can maintain a slide at half throttle, screaming all the way. Prices hover around 12 grand for a decent runner, but here's the catch. Budget another grand or two for ignition coils, a good premix setup, and maybe a compression test. Rotaries require a bit more love, but what you get in return is unparalleled. The weight distribution is a perfect 50-50, so the car pivots around your hips like a ballroom dance. Albeit a ballroom dance where your partner occasionally coughs oil instead of sipping champagne. If you're looking for something truly unique, with incredible balance and a screaming engine note, the RX-8 is an absolute blast to drift. Just be prepared to understand its quirks. Underneath that classy, understated Lexus skin sits a secret weapon, the 2JZGE. Yes, that's right. The naturally aspirated sibling of the legendary Supra's 2JZGTE. It might only make 215 horsepower stock, But this iron block engine is practically begging for boost. It welcomes a turbo like an old friend, and a simple turbo swap from a wrecked Toyota Aristo is a well-trodden path to serious power. The chassis itself is a Japanese take on the E36, balanced, rear-wheel drive, and incredibly tough. You can expect to pay about $14.50 for a clean sport cross wagon. Yes, a wagon, so you can haul all your spare tires to the track and still look like you've got your 401k in order. The aftermarket traction for these cars is growing rapidly, and because it pulls heavily from the massive Toyota parts bin, repairs and maintenance stay surprisingly sane. It's a sophisticated, robust, and endlessly tunable drift machine. Okay, wait, I can hear you through the screen. Why isn't this number one? And you're right, it's a phenomenal drift car. But the Z has climbed the price ladder harder than your rent in the last few years. Still, if you're patient and vigilant, you can score a high-mileage DE model, that's the earlier engine, for just under 10 grand. And when you do, that VQ35 engine sings like Pavarotti after a shot of nitrous. Those huge fenders can swallow massive 18 by 10.5 wheels, and the aftermarket support for the 350Z rivals Lego, it's that extensive. We're talking every diff option imaginable, angle kits to make your front wheels nearly touch the bumper, bash bars, you name it, it exists. The 350Z is essentially the Swiss Army knife of modern drifting. Its incredibly competent stock becomes an absolute nuclear weapon when turbocharged, and somehow, it always manages to look expensive, even when you snagged it for a steal. It's a staple in drift culture worldwide for a reason. And here it is, the undisputed sweet spot for budget-friendly drifting. The BMW E46 330e. This beauty costs just a hair more than its E36 predecessor, but for that slight bump, you get a significantly stiffer chassis, vastly improved aerodynamics, and a cabin that doesn't rattle like a maraca band in a thunderstorm. The M54 inline-6 engine in the 330 belts out a healthy 225 horsepower. That's more than enough to spin in third gear once you open up the exhaust and get a proper tune. Early 2001 to 2003 sedans trade around 10 grand, and get this, parts interchange with millions of E46 taxis worldwide, meaning spares are plentiful and affordable. Reliability? It's stout. If you address the well-known cooling system issues and van OS seals, but once those are sorted, it's a tank. Stack on a cheap eBay turbo kit, weld the factory differential, and you've got yourself a pro-level missile that still looks street stock. Imagine the look on supercar owners' faces when you surprise them at the next airstrip event. It's the perfect blend of performance, affordability, and sleeper potential. Are you absolutely loving this list so far? Is your brain already buzzing with ideas for your next budget drift build? Then do me a massive favor. Smash that like button harder than a rev limiter. Seriously, hit it. That tells the algorithm to quit recommending cat videos and start feeding you more glorious tire smoke content. Your support is what keeps these budget builds coming, so let's make some noise. Alright, there you have it. 10 incredible brands, 10 phenomenal ways to go sideways without having to sell a kidney. From the nimble Mazda Miata to the powerhouse BMW E46, there's a budget drift car out there for everyone. Which one's calling your name? Which one are you hunting for right now? Hit the comments below and tell me your pick and what the local prices are looking like in your area. And hey, if you actually grab one of these cars and you get it sideways for the first time, please tag me in your first burnout video. I want proof you're out there living the slide life. Don't forget to subscribe for more insane budget builds and car adventures. And always remember this, drifting doesn't demand deep pockets, it just demands deep commitment. Now stop scrolling, start hunting, and I'll see you at the track.